Hi, everybody, and welcome to our monthly Lunch and Learn session. We'll get started in just a minute. We're joined today by Empire Justice in a part 2 of a series on discussion about services that they offer across the state. So just a friendly reminder, this webinar is being recorded. It will be made available for use after we are done with today's presentation, along with any slides from our presenter. Anybody that's registered will get a copy, and it'll be available on the Navigator's Facebook page and our YouTube page. Just a friendly reminder that if you're in this session today, all participants are on mute. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat feature. We will be monitoring the chat as we go through our presentation. So it is 12 o'clock exactly. I'm going to kick us off. My name is Rae Glaser. I am the director of the New York State Kinship Navigator program. We are statewide information, referral, and education for kinship caregivers, assistance with professionals working with kinship caregivers and prospective caregivers. We serve all 62 counties in New York. Our warm line is available 10 through 4, Monday through Friday. I think everybody on the call today is familiar with our services. I'm not going to belabor it because we have quite a full docket today. So it's just a reminder, feel free to join us. We have these monthly lunch and learns. They are on usually the third Thursday of the month from 12 to 12:30. This month we are one week delayed. Next month we are foregoing our lunch and learn series because it's Kinship Care Month. So right on the Navigator homepage, please feel free to register for our luncheon, which will be in Albany at the Marriott on September 26th. All the information is right on our webpage, and I will drop that in the chat for everybody. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Empire Justice. We're joined today by Katie Blum, Jim Duquette, Samuel Robinson to discuss some services that are offered by Empire Justice. We had part 1 of our series last month in July. Today we're going to talk about school discrimination and homeowner protection. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Katie Blum to get us started with some information on school discrimination. Katie, over to you.
Thank you. Let me just share my screen.
Fantastic, Katie, we can see.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Katie Blum, and I'm the managing attorney of the Civil Rights Practice Group at Empire Justice Center. And as Rae said, I'm going to talk today about school discrimination under the law, as well as Empire Justice Center's school discrimination helpline. So I'll spend a little bit of time going over what the law says, and then the majority of the time talking about our school discrimination helpline. And I'm happy to take any questions at the end that you may have. So it's an unfortunate reality that so many children around our state are facing school discrimination at school. But the good news is there are options that students can take. But the issue is that we have encountered at Empire Justice Center is that a lot of people are unaware of what these options are. So Empire Justice Center launched a school discrimination helpline to help people around the state exercise their legal rights to protect students from discrimination. So I'm going to first talk about what the law says about school discrimination. And so both New York State and federal law protect students against school discrimination. And there are 2 main New York State laws. So I'm first going to talk about school discrimination under New York State law. So the first main law is called the Human Rights Law. And then the second law is called the Dignity for All Students Act. And this is commonly referred to as DASA. So the Human Rights Law is New York's major anti-discrimination law. It prohibits discrimination in most schools, but I would like to note that one of the few exceptions is that it does not protect students from discrimination in private religious schools. Unfortunately, there is a religious exemption carved out in state law. Under the Human Rights Law, schools cannot refuse to admit or terminate an otherwise qualified student from a school or program based on that student's membership in a protected class. In addition, schools also have to prevent and correct bullying and harassment, which includes sexual harassment. So sometimes when I give this presentation, people ask, what is a protected class? So a protected class is a group of people with a shared characteristic who are legally protected from discrimination based on that characteristic. And so protected classes under the human rights law include, but I would like to note are not limited to, actually the protected classes under the human rights law are very broad, but some of the more common ones that we see are race, ethnicity, sex, gender identity and expression, religion, age, and disability. So under the human rights law, a student has a couple different options. So the first option is filing a complaint with the New York State Division of Human Rights. And then the second option would be to file a lawsuit in state court. So I actually just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the New York State Division of Human Rights. This is a completely free process for anyone who would like to file a complaint. So it's a really good option if you don't have the funds to hire an attorney, because if you file a lawsuit in state court, you will most likely need to hire an attorney. So if you're looking for a more affordable option, definitely check out the New York State Division of Human Rights. And then I just want to quickly talk about the other main state law, which is DASA. So DASA also aims to protect students from bullying, including cyberbullying, harassment, and other discrimination. It applies to bullying, harassment, and discrimination that occurs on school property and also at school functions. And discrimination under DASA is prohibited on a number of protected classes that are pretty similar to the human rights law, but they include race, color, weight, national origin, ethnic group, religion, religious practice, disability, sexual orientation, gender, and sex. So I'd like to note that all schools have a DASA coordinator, which is an administrative designee who receives reports of harassment, bullying, or discrimination. So when a school receives a report or a complaint, it has to begin an investigation. And if the school finds that bullying, harassment, or discrimination did occur, it has to take corrective action. So now I would just like to briefly talk about school discrimination under federal law, because it's also protected under federal law. So discrimination in schools on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, age, religion, and disability is all prohibited by federal law. And again, much like with under New York state law, unfortunately, there is a religious exemption, which means that religious private schools that don't accept federal funds are not covered by these laws. And legal options under federal law include filing a complaint with the Office for Civil Rights and filing a federal lawsuit. So what I just talked about is a very broad overview of the different protections that are provided under state and federal law. And I know that this can be very confusing, very overwhelming, and there's a lot of information. And so we found that many students, families, and caregivers feel very overwhelmed about the options under state and federal law. And also, like I said at the beginning of this presentation, there's also a lack of awareness of what these options are. And so in 2022, Empire Justice Center decided to launch a school discrimination helpline because it came to our attention that a lot of students needed help and they weren't getting the help that they need. And so this helpline is a statewide helpline, which means that anyone from around the state can give us a call, and we will help anyone who calls assess their legal needs. So to do that, callers will be connected with a lawyer in our group or a paralegal, and we will provide advice and counsel about the available options under state and federal law. So what this means is that anyone who gives us a call, they can explain what legal issue they're facing, and then we will walk them through what their steps are. So kind of similar to what I just talked about, but we'll get in more detail with anyone who calls, depending on what the situation is. And I would also like to note that these phone calls are completely free of charge.
So Katie, just a question that popped up in the chat.
Yeah.
Is the school responsible for correcting the behavior of a student that's bullying or cyberbullying if the student is doing so outside of school property, or are they only responsible if it's on school property?
That's a great question, and it really oftentimes depends on the circumstances. So, for example, for cyberbullying, if the cyberbullying is taking place on school, it's occurring over school property. So if it's a school assigned laptop, then that student might be able to take action. But in general, usually schools have to protect students from discrimination or bullying that take place on school property or at school functions. But outside of school, that most likely wouldn't be covered unless, like I said, it is occurring on school assigned property. And if there are no other questions right now, I will just share that this is a flyer for our school discrimination helpline. And so the number for the helpline is here. Also, we have a website, but if I actually go to the next slide, I will provide this information. So here's our helpline number. We also have a helpline email if it would be easier for you to email us. And like I said, if you call us or if you email us, then an attorney or a paralegal will give you a call and we'll spend some time with you discussing your case. And then I also wanted to note that Empire Justice Center offers a Know Your Rights guide about how to file a complaint with the New York State Division of Human Rights. So like I said, this is an option under state law that is completely free to do. So a lot of times families and students are really interested in learning more about this. So we have a Know Your Rights guide, and it's also available in Spanish. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me. Here's my email address, and then here's my phone number as well.
Katie, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We have one more coming in.
Yeah.
She said, sorry, it might not be the right term, but there are kids that call themselves furries, Furries. Do they have any kind of rights now?
So that is not an explicit protected class under state or federal law. So, like I was mentioning in my presentation, under the laws, students are protected from bullying and harassment if it's based on a specific protected class. But it's possible that, sometimes that can be paired with a protected characteristic or class that would be covered by the law. So to answer the question, not explicitly, but depending on a situation, there may be other factors at play. So, it really just does have to be based on a protected class enumerated by the law.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
More questions that have come in now, so we can turn it over to Jim if he's ready.
Okay. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, Katie. Let's see now if I can share my screen. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so my name is Jim Duquette. I'm also at Empire Justice Center. I'm in the Rochester office. I was actually a legal services client in 2012 and then hired as an unpaid intern, I like to point out, before I started working directly with homeowners. And now my title is a HOPP Anchor Program Director. So I'm here to talk a little bit generally about the Homeowner Protection Program, which is, if I can do this. First, I'll read this very dry slide. The Homeowner Protection Program is New York's only foreclosure prevention program, funding 89 nonprofit legal services and housing counseling agencies and serving every county across New York State. These community-based organizations employ hundreds of specially trained lawyers and housing counselors to provide free direct services to families facing threat of foreclosure. So what that actually really means is the Homeowner Protection Program, or HOPP as we call it, is funded in the state budget. So it is state money. It's overseen by the Attorney General's office, and it consists of, as it says here, almost 90 organizations that serve every county in the state. They're both housing counseling agencies and legal services groups. And the one thing that they all have in common is that they provide homeowner protection services. So that could be everything from, oh my gosh, I just lost my job, I'm afraid I'm going to fall behind on my mortgage, all the way up to, oh my gosh, I just received a notice from the court that I've been sued for foreclosure. I don't know what to do. That's what HOPP is for. And the role that Empire Justice plays is there are two anchor partners of the program. We oversee the grants and contracts around the state. Empire Justice oversees the contracts outside of New York City, or as we like to call it, the best of state. And Center for New York City Neighborhoods is our other anchor partner, and they oversee all the contracts inside New York State. I mean, New York City. So again, if you find yourself in a position of you think you're at risk of losing your home from the very beginning of finding some kind of hardship and falling behind on your mortgage payments, all the way up to when you get filed, if you have a foreclosure filed against you, no matter where you are in New York, you can go to this website, Homeowner Help NY. There's a link there that will send you to an advocate in your area, or you can call the HOPP hotline, which is 1-855-HOME-456. And they have a fully trained staff who will refer you to an agency that can assist you in your area. That's it for sort of the general overview of HOPP. I'm very excited that I can hand over the really fun part and the more interesting part to my colleague Samuel Robinson, who can talk about some of the actual services that are provided to our clients. So I think I stopped sharing my screen. Did I?
Oh no, it's
We can still see you, but that's okay because I don't think Samuel has slides, so we can leave
Okay.
your information right up. We'll turn it over to Samuel to start talking.
All right. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel Robinson, paralegal for Empire Justice Center's Foreclosure Prevention Team, funded by HOPP. Like Jim, my team works out of the Rochester office, and so we are primarily funded to service low-income homeowners within Monroe County. If you're familiar with the area, that's like Greece, Henrietta, Brockport, et cetera, et cetera. As a single county compared to the rest of New York State, we represent a bit of a microcosm of the HOPP network overall. But I may be biased here, but I believe that Rochester's foreclosure prevention team probably serves as one of the best examples of how the network kind of works. Feel free to correct me on this if you have any opinions, but hey. So one of the best examples, I apologize. So through HOPP, the resources we provide our clients are free. That's the most important thing. These are free services, which means at no cost, a homeowner facing foreclosure can get in touch with a housing counselor or a foreclosure attorney. And there can be multiple reasons why you may need an attorney or a housing counselor, preferably both. A housing counselor can help a homeowner go over their budget, any expenses that they have, and any property retention options that may be available to them during the process. Things like, loss mitigation. And, loss mitigation options such as forbearance plans, you may be familiar with that, or forbearance, loan modifications, or just a general repayment plan. And there are a few other ones as well, but we won't go into too much detail. I could spend all day talking about that. And a housing attorney, the people that I generally work with, my supervisor, they can help guide a homeowner through the foreclosure process and inform them of what their rights are as a foreclosure progresses. They can help homeowners file legal documents if necessary, communicate with the bank's attorneys if at all necessary. Things that average New Yorkers may not feel comfortable or may not know how to do. And attorneys can also discuss non-retention options like short sales, which in case, a foreclosure can't be prevented, and occasionally a foreclosure can't be prevented, there can still be ways that a homeowner can get whatever equity might be left in the property. So, we all kind of handle the whole works. We try to account for every single kind of situation. Now, some of you may know, but foreclosures are complicated, and there can be a few different reasons for why a homeowner falls into foreclosure. Things such as divorce, a death in the family, medical complications, a whole lot of things, reasons people can't work, and maybe you inherited a property, or a client inherits a property from a grandparent who hadn't paid their mortgage in like years. These things are common. It happens. And you can be foreclosed on for a few different reasons. You know, you owe money to a bank for missed mortgage payments, or perhaps your city put your house up for auction for missed property taxes. And there's a variety. You know, it's not just one single reason why somebody can be foreclosed on. And I think this is where the true strength of the HOPP network really comes in. Is that different organizations like mine and my team, we lean heavily on a lot of other organizations and a lot of other teams, all funded through the HOPP network, that do similar work, right? Because sometimes, you know, you go to one organization, they'll handle one specific sort of case, but they won't handle another, but they may be able to refer you to one that does. So perfect example, my team doesn't handle bankruptcies. Bankruptcies are a viable property retention option. And again, it's more common than you would think. People can file for bankruptcy if they owe a lot of money in things like credit card debt, and, you know, they also have to pay a mortgage. Bankruptcy can be viable, but my team doesn't handle that. However, thanks to the HOPP network, we can refer people to organizations that do handle bankruptcy cases. So, you know, there's an organization, Legal Aid Society in Rochester. They handle things like bankruptcies, probate matters. We had brought up inheritance before, and that's also a very popular one that my team doesn't handle. But we always try to reach out to other organizations that do and see if they can kind of help these people. And, you know, another complicated thing is New York State is big. It's a very, very big place. And sometimes you might be confused about, you know, what kind of organizations are out there in your area to help. Like, perfect example, another good example, even though I work out of the Rochester office, I live in the sticks. I live in a small little area in Orleans County. It's like nowhere close to the city. And we don't have many organizations. Empire Justice Center doesn't service Orleans County. And it almost seems like there's no organizations that service Orleans County. However, there is one that is the Geneva Office of Law, New York, I believe, which you may be familiar with again, or you might not be. But that's technically the Geneva office. But they do help people in Orleans. But I wouldn't have known that unless I had this job. So that's where, you know, the phone number that Jim had provided before, that's very helpful. Reach out to HOPP, and they can place you with different organizations that might be able to help. And if they can't, because things change occasionally, people become understaffed or overstaffed, then they will try to pass you off to some other organization that might be able to help. And it just kind of goes on and on and on until hopefully you find someone for your client. I went over a lot in a short amount of time. I'm always open to helping anybody who has questions. And of course, feel free to email me. I don't actually have any slides for my email, but, you know, just feel free to reach out. I'll answer any questions later on. And yeah, that's it for me. That's all.
Thanks, Samuel. If you can't reach Samuel, everybody's got my email address. I'm going to drop it in the chat. But you can feel free to reach out to the navigator, and we'll put you in touch with Samuel.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Now I think we're going to turn it over to Jordan Daniels. That's next on our presentation list.
Yes.
All right, Jordan, over to you.
Awesome. Let me just get my screen up. Okay, can you see?
Yes.
Yep, gotcha.
Okay, great. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Daniels. I am the EdCap Student Debt Manager here at Empire Justice Center. I'm going to talk about our program, EdCap, which stands for Education Debt Consumer Assistance Program. We are a program of the Community Service Society of New York. We are a network created to help New Yorkers struggling with private or federal student debt. And we kind of help them navigate that very complicated student loan repayment system and regain financial health if they have been harmed as a result of trying to pay their student loans. We are funded by New York State and overseen by the Department of Financial Services. So let me pull up here. We have our network map here. This is kind of how it goes. So it's like a hub and spokes model where Community Service Society is at the center. And we have 11 community-based organizations all listed here, including Empire Justice Center, that provides these services across New York State.
We do cover every single county, even if you don't see your county listed here under a specific CBO. Community Service Society will take anyone from any county so that you are able to receive our services. Let's talk about exactly what services we do provide. All right. So on my team personally here at Empire Justice, I have 2 attorneys who are able to assist borrowers as well. It's not super often that student loan issues go to litigation or can't be resolved with a non-attorney advocate like myself. However, in a situation where a borrower has a judgment against them for not paying their student loans, or if they have questions about whether they should file bankruptcy to get their student loans discharged, that's when an attorney would step in. But otherwise, myself and the services that I provide is one-on-one student debt counseling services. So we hop on a Zoom call, just like this one. We log into your studentaid.gov, your servicer website, wherever you look at your student loan information, and we go through and make sure that you are in the best position possible. So most clients come to me, they're saying, I can't really afford my student loan payment, or I think I could probably have a cheaper one. I recently lost my job or my income dropped a little. Is there any way you could help me switch repayment plans? I want to pursue forgiveness. I have no idea where to start. I don't even know if I qualify. All of these situations are what we help with. So first, we help determine your best student loan repayment option. This could be paying off the debt in full because you have a high income and a low student loan balance. Or it could be, we're going to pursue forgiveness because this balance is absolutely ridiculous and you work a public service job, like for the nonprofit or for a government agency. So let's not pay these loans. We also help access these loan forgiveness, discharge, and cancellation programs. They're incredibly confusing right now. And we're fully aware that it is not clear how to apply for these programs, what programs are safe versus not safe when it comes to administration switching and litigation happening against programs. So we answer all of those questions. We also dip into the pre-college counseling. So we help people apply for the FAFSA, the document that you need for financial aid to go to college. We help parents fill out FAFSAs for their children. We help people fill out FAFSAs for themselves. And then we also mediate issues with student loan servicers. At this moment, this is my #1 job because the student loan servicers are simply just not doing what they need to do. So I step in and mitigate some of those conversations between borrowers and servicers because I know the language and we know exactly what to ask for. This isn't so much a problem because of the pandemic, but people who are in default come to us with assistance on how to get out of default. We also help people understand their financial award letters. That goes into the pre-college counseling. What did you actually get in terms of student aid? What do you need to take out additionally in other loans? We help you kind of figure that situation out. And then if we can't help you, which is very unlikely because we have a lot of smart people in our network, but we can also refer you to other services and resources if necessary. And then the way to make an appointment with us to get these services, I'll go back to this page. If you are in specifically the Albany, Rensselaer, Westchester, Washington counties, surrounding Capital District, I would be your counselor that you would reach out to. So Empire Justice Center's number is right here, this 518-935-2849. Or you can also email us at studentdebt@empirejustice.org, which I will hand out at a later date. Or if you are not in any of those counties and you're not sure who to call, you can just call our general helpline number, 888-614-5004. Or you can also send an email. Let me get back to the main page. Send an email to edcap@cssny.org and you will get connected with a counselor. So I'll keep it short because I know we still have one more. So let me unshare here.
Jordan, thank you so much. That was really helpful.
Yeah.
And Jordan will be sending her slides as well, so everybody can get all that information. I know that that's a real struggle with a lot of people. So I think we have 2 minutes left, and I think Susan wanted to say a couple of words. Susan, are you with us? No, we had some in and out there. I'm not seeing her on our panelist list, so I am going to, if Susan's got some information to share, we can send that out with all of the resources as well. If anybody has any questions for any of our presenters, we do have a couple of minutes left. Feel free to drop them in the chat. If we don't have any questions, we'll give you back a couple of minutes of your day, and all the information that we've shared today, all of the slides, PowerPoints, and today's recording will go out within the week to everybody that has registered. So I have us at 12:29. And it seems like Susan's having some technical difficulties, so I'm not sure. But we'll invite Susan to share her resources in writing, and we can put those out to everybody. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Appreciate it. And then just another plug for our Kinship Care Month event. It's right on the Navigator website, www.nysnavigator.org. Feel free to register for that. It is a free event on September 26th. To honor kinship caregivers and kinship professionals in Albany, New York. Thank you for joining us today, Katie, Jim, Samuel, Jordan. Great information. We appreciate it. And we will convene our monthly Lunch and Learns in October. More information going out about that within the next couple of weeks. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.